Hello everyone and welcome to another one of our little, I guess, Warhammer ranty videos? Not super ranty this time. I recently came into possession of an image, which I thought was quite cool. And so today we're going to talk about Sly Marbo. No, this is not any sort of lore video or any kind of crazy thing like that. I frankly don't know enough about the man to make anything like that. This is going to be about the tabletop. A couple of months, or not a couple of months ago, but a few weeks ago, Games Workshop toyed with us and sort of gave us a couple of images about a brand new model for Sly Marbo. This was about the same time as the chapter approved leaks were coming out. And we got this, which is beautiful. I mean, it's an absolutely lovely model, and I really, really like it. A lot of detail seems to be in here, although that could be the result of the painting. I'm not really one to comment too much about models, given that I tend to use a whole bunch of third-party ones anyway, but it's a really nice one, and I really thought it was, and I was getting really eager to see what they were going to do with Sly Marbo. I mean, he's been a mainstay in the Guard for a very long time. One of our special characters. He's essentially Rambo in the Imperial Guard. He's a Catachan who can basically kick anybody's butt. He's terrifying, amazingly powerful, and again, if you just think Rambo, that's Sly Marbo in a nutshell. And then today, a friend of mine sent me an image which gave us supposedly the rules for him. I don't know if this is accurate, but it did seem reasonable enough that I kind of wanted to share it and talk about it. And here is the rule set that I had been sent by my good buddy Mitch. Hi, Mitch. So Sly Marbo. A single model armed with a Ripper pistol, frag grenades, and an envenomed blade. Only one of these may be included in your army. And the stat line is Sly Marbo, movement of 6 inches, a weapon skill of 2 up, a ballistic skill of 2 up, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, attacks 4, leadership 7, and a 5 up save. We're just going to go through the whole sheet first, and then we're going to talk about sort of the way I'm viewing this character. His weapons are a Ripper pistol, which is a 12-inch range pistol 3 weapon, means it can shoot 3 times, at strength 5, AP nothing, 1 damage. And if this weapon targets infantry, it deals damage on a roll of a 2. Envenomed blade, melee, type melee, strength +1, AP nothing, damage 1, this weapon wounds infantry on 2 up, just like the gun. And frag grenade, within 6 inches, grenade D6, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage, same frag grenade as everybody. His abilities, loner. Officers cannot issue orders to Sly Marbo. Sly Marbo can never have a warlord trait. This makes perfect sense, although having Sly Marbo as your warlord would be hilarious. Lethal ambush. Now this is an interesting set of powers here. During deployment, you can set up Sly Marbo in ambush instead of placing him on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phases, he can emerge from hiding and attack. Set him up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Sly Marbo can then do one of the following. Stalk with blade. Sly Marbo can immediately move up to D6 inches in any direction. In addition, until the start of your next turn, add 2 to Sly Marbo's attack characteristic. Snipe with pistol. Sly Marbo can immediately shoot his Ripper pistol as if it were in the shooting phase. Doing so does not prevent him from shooting in the shooting phase of this turn. In addition, until the start of your next turn, Sly Marbo can target enemy characters when he shoots his Ripper pistol, even if another enemy unit is closer. Detonate concealed explosives. Pick an enemy unit on the battlefield and roll a d6. Subtract 1 from the result if the unit is a character, but add 1 if the unit contains 10 or more models. On a 4-up, the unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, but on a 7-up, it suffers d6 mortal wounds. 1 with his surroundings. If Sly Marbo receives the benefit of cover, add 2 to his saving throws instead of 1. And finally, like fighting a shadow, once per battle at the start of any of your movement phases, Sly Marbo can disappear so long as there is no enemy models within 6 inches of him. If he does, remove him from the battlefield. At the end of your next movement phase, he reappears using the Lethal Ambush ability. His faction keywords are Imperium, Astra Militarum, and Catachan, and his normal keywords are Character, Infantry, and Sly Marbo, because he gets his own keyword, which is fun. So, Lethal Ambush is an interesting ability. We'll be able to use it basically twice per battle. When you first lay him down, you'll pull him back with like fighting a shadow, and then you'll lay him down again and be able to do it again. So, what do I think about this character? I'm gonna be honest, despite all of that wonderful ability, despite having his own keyword, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be pretty crap. I'm gonna have to preface, if he's cheap, if he's 30 to 40 points, he could be worth it. But just looking at this stat line, I'm going to have to say Sly Marbo is not looking like he's going to be an include in a lot of armies. Well, 1, he's Catachan, so he'd only be applicable to Catachan armies, but 2, he is incredibly squishy and fairly weak. So what do I mean by that? His weapon skill, ballistic skill, is the highest I can think of in an Astra Militarum army. I don't think anybody gets a 2-up, 2-up. The closest I can think of is Strachan, who has a 2-up weapon skill and a 3-up ballistic skill. So he, supposedly, on those two stats, he's better than Strachan, who is, you know, our normal melee Catachan commanding officer. What really starts to let him down is everything after the weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2. Strength is 3. This makes him the weakest Catachan character in the game. The two others that we have are Sergeant Harker and Colonel Ironhand Strachan. Now, Strachan's strength is 6, which makes sense. Strachan is a certified badass. There's no denying that. But even Sergeant Harker is a strength of 4. And that's before the Catachan bonus is applied. Because Sly Marbo is Catachan, if he's in an all-Catachan detachment, he will receive the Catachan bonus, which is Strength characteristic +1, which will put him at Strength 4, and Leadership characteristic up +1 if he's within 6 inches of an officer. Because he's a single model, that's not going to matter at all. His leadership doesn't matter except for some warp powers, which he is kind of vulnerable to. Although, even Sergeant Harker is the same leadership of 7. So he's got a sergeant's leadership. That's not terrible. But it generally won't come into play. But the fact that he's strength 4 when even Harker, who is basically a ballistic, sort of a ballistics-focused Catachan, Harker is strength 5 once you apply his Catachan bonus. So the fact that he's going to be strength 4 before Blade included, that's a little bit underwhelming. The thing that really kind of guts him, though, is his toughness. Toughness 3. I mean, that's just sad. That's normal guard toughness. So if we're being completely honest, this is completely in line with being a normal guardsman. Even Harker has a toughness of 3. But Sly Marbo is supposed to be something special. He's supposed to be this ungodly, powerful, incredibly stealthy murder machine. And at a toughness 3, and with his save of 5+, he's gonna die really, really easily. There are a lot of weapons in this game that will just utterly blow him away. The wound characteristic of 4 puts him at the same number of wounds as a company commander, puts him at 1 greater wound than Harker, and less wounds than Strachan, but Strachan's an HQ choice who costs 75 points. And I don't anticipate, even in my worst nightmares, that Sly Marbo will be 75 points or around there. So 4 wounds, that's decent enough for a character like this, especially at a power level 4. I don't normally play power level, so I don't have 100% concern about what that sort of equates to. Strachan is power level 4. Lord Commissar is power level 4. These are both 55 and 75 point models, so that does actually make me a little bit concerned. Tempester Prime's at 3. They're 41 points? Or 50 points. Yeah, Tempester Primes are 50 points, I believe. Primaris Psychers are power level 2, and they're 46 points now. So, you combine his toughness with his save, and you've got a character who's going to die really, really quickly. If you try and get into melee combat against even a Space Marine squad, they're going to butcher him. They're just going to completely wipe him out. And there's no way of getting around just how incredibly squishy he is. I think even a Lictor is tougher than this. And it's one of those things it's an Achilles heel that really will take the life out of a character. Now, you can say that one with his surroundings will allow him to have a save of 3 up. But that's only if he gets cover. If he gets into close combat, which it's kind of encouraged to with Stalk with Blade, one of his main abilities, then he loses that, and he'll be saving on 5s. So against a Space Marine, they're wounding him on 3s because he's toughness 3, they're hitting him on 3s because they're Space Marines, and he'll only save 1/3 of the wounds that he takes. He's got no invulnerable save that I've seen on this chart. It's really, really kind of underwhelming for a power level 4. Alright, so what happens if Sly Marbo gets into attack? Because he will get to attack. I mean, he's going to deep strike off the field and he can move 6 inches with one of his options for his lethal ambush. So, if we look at his Ripper Pistol is Pistol 3. It's got a Strength 5, AP nothing, 1 damage. His Envenom Blade will make him Strength 5, AP nothing, 1 damage. If you run Stalk with Blade, you'll get 6 knife attacks and 3 pistol attacks. And you'll very likely get the charge. So the 6 knife attacks will likely come off. That's 9 wounds. That's pretty reliably 7 to 8 wounds that they're going to have to save, but the total lack of AP means that they're not going to stick. He's got a 2-up to hit, a 2-up to wound against infantry, which is most officers or other important characters are going to go for, and then they're just going to ignore it because they're going to save that. Not even having an AP -1 is kind of a big deal. It means that even a normal Space Marine is saving on a 3-up, and 3-up saves are easy to make. If he's going after a character, they're probably going to have between 4 and 5 wounds or more, depending on how important that character is. So he's not going to reliably kill anything. And then he's got to survive to your turn, which is not great because it happens at the start of your movement phase. So you drop Sly Marbo in, you'll run him d6 inches closer to a character who's all on his own, you have him shoot 3 times with his Ripper pistol, he hits, he wounds, and then a Space Marine saves both of those 2 of the 3 that hit him. Because we're assuming being super generous and saying all 3 hit him. So the Space Marine took no damage there. He then charges into melee range. He hits, he wounds. Let's say he hits 4, he'll wound with 4 or 5 of them. And the Space Marine character will shrug off 3-ish of them, which then means that he takes 2 damage. And the Space Marine attacks back. He'll wound him, he'll hit him on 3s because Space Marine is 3, unless he's an even better character, and he'll wound him on 2s. He'll wound him on 3s, no problem. Super strong characters that have a strength of 6 will wound Marbo on 2s, which is not great, and then Marbo will only have a 5-up save against it. That's gonna die really, really easily. So he's probably not gonna kill his target, and then he's going to die. So Stalk with Blade, probably not a great option to use. Okay, Snipe with Pistol. So you drop him in, and you get to basically make 6 pistol shots, because he gets to shoot when he drops in, and then he gets to shoot in the shooting phase. And then you can try and charge in for another 4 attacks. You'll get 10 attacks in total. They're all strength 5, AP nothing, 1 damage. The problem is the charge is going to be a 9-inch charge. He gets no bonus to charging, which means that's not going to be a reliable charge. And while it's nice that you can snipe characters with that pistol, again, 1 damage, no AP. He's going to hit. Marbo is going to hit most, if not all, of his attacks reliably, which is a real novelty in the Guard, because most of the time the Guard's problem is actually hitting the opponent. But then after that, it's not going to stick, because the armor save of whoever he's shooting at is just going to ignore most of the damage he deals out. If you're using him to try and assault characters, you're really not going to kill anything. If you're using him to assault elite infantry, you're probably not going to kill a lot of them. And by elite infantry, I mean Space Marine troop choices. You're going to have trouble denting a Space Marine squad with this guy. Even an MSU Space Marine squad, it's just not going to deal all the damage that you need it to deal to have any sort of lasting effect. And then, on your opponent's turn, they're going to turn around and absolutely blow him away. Or they're going to charge him, because there's no reason not to charge him. Because he's just not all that dangerous in close combat. You'll get the first attack off on him. He's only got 4 wounds. His save is on a 5, and his toughness is 3. You'll charge in there, you'll beat him up, and you'll kill him. I wouldn't even worry about trying to shoot him, although you could if you wanted. And again, any wound that he takes, he's got to save that on a 5-up, which is not reliable at all. And there's enough weapons in this game that have AP 1 and 2 that Sly Marbo is probably not going to get a save a lot of the time, whoever shoots at him. It doesn't take a lot to kill him, so hopefully it won't take a lot to field him. Detonate Concealed Explosives is an interesting pick, but it suffers from a kind of significant problem. We have 3 or 4 other ways of doing this exact same thing. Off the top of my head, the Officer of the Fleet airstrike ability is the exact same thing. Roll a d6. On a 4-up, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Okay, that's nice. If you target a character, it becomes a 5-up, and it becomes a 3-up if you target a unit with 10 or more models, in which case you have, a decent chance of dealing d3 wounds, but at 10 models, taking 3 wounds off of them is not going to be huge. So I guess you use this to ambush regular infantry, and you try and use him like he's his own squad. I'm guessing that's how you're going to have to do it, but you can't combine that with Snipe with Pistol or Stalk with Blade. If you could, then that would be great. If you could combine Detonate Concealed Explosives with Snipe with Pistol or Stalk with Blade, Marbo would be a fantastic fantastic choice, because he would be able to basically drop in on an infantry squad that's sort of trying to flank around the sides, and you could have him absolutely blitz them. Blow away 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky with the mortal wounds. Heck, if you get really lucky, you get to roll the d6 mortal wounds. That would be fantastic. And then you follow that up with 6 sniper shots, and then you charge him in for another 4 knife attacks. Or you do it with the other way, where you shoot 3 times and then charge in with 6 blade attacks. That'd be fantastic. In fact, I really kind of like that idea. That if Sly Marbo could do detonate concealed explosives and one of his other abilities, that would be terrifying. And then immediately after he's wiped out a single side infantry squad, he could disappear and then come back in again. Sort of a perfect harassing flanking unit, which is something that the Guard really could use. I mean, using a character for this as Catachan, that's really thematic, and it's something that would really fill a battlefield niche. And also something that would be really useful. I would pay 40 points for that, no question. I might even pay 50 points for that, no question. Well, a few questions of 50 points. But the fact that they break all 3 of these abilities up and you only get to pick one, that really takes the teeth out of it. Because sure, you can drop him in and he can hurt infantry, but if you're fighting decent infantry, they're going to ignore him. Space Marines have no worry against Sly Marbo. Eldar wouldn't have too much of a worry against Sly Marbo. Orcs, yeah, he'll hurt orcs, but orcs are coming in squads of about 30 boys at a time. So that's not going to be super useful. I can't think of an orc boys squad that he would want to try and ambush. Nids, again, they're going to be coming in large squads. I mean, if your Nid player is playing with small squads of 10 Gaunts, yeah, he might be able to cause some serious damage, but that's not reliable. Other Guard players, sure, he can ambush a single squad and then probably get cut to pieces, because that squad would probably be able to charge him and kill him. His toughness 3 really lets him down in this. I mean, he has no survivability, and he doesn't deal quite enough damage to make him really dangerous. So the fact that Lethal Ambush breaks up all 3 of his abilities and says you only get to pick one really hurts his utility. The fact that he's toughness 3 really hurts his utility. The fact that he's got a 5-up save and no invuln on top of that really hurts his utility. He'll have an extraordinarily narrow set of circumstances where he's useful. No AP, a single point of damage for everything that he hits, and what is, to be kind of blunt, the worst envenomed blade I've seen in 8th edition so far. I'm trying to think of other poison or equivalent weapons that automatically deal wounds on 2s, and they all deal wounds on 2s except against vehicles where they wound on 6s. The ability to wound on 2s against only infantry is really limiting, especially against Nids, which I play against quite a bit, so that's on the brain a little bit. All in all, Sly is pretty underwhelming. He's not going to change any metas. He's not going to be really an auto-include if this is indeed his final form. If he's 30 points, he'll be worth it. I mean, because I would trade an Astropath for this. I've got 3 of them in my army for important things to do, and sure, for a little bit of variety, I might take one out and toss in Sly Marbo. But odds are, at power level 4, he's going to be at least 50 to 55 points, which will put him on par with Sergeant Harker, who is frankly way, way better. Sergeant Harker's ability is he gets, if you're a Catachan, you get to reroll 1s if you're within 6 inches of him. It's amazingly powerful. So at power level 4, that puts him a point higher than Harker, and Harker's 50 points. He's power level 4, which is the same as Colonel Ironhand Strachan. Strachan's 75 points. It's the same level as the Lord Commissar, which is 55 points. I'm worried. Because at this price point that he's going to be, that's going to probably be in the 50 to 60 price point range, and that's a problem. With his abilities as they are now, I don't see him being super useful like this. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm missing something huge, and leave your thoughts in the comments below, because I'd really like to hear from you guys what you are thinking about this. When I looked at this, I got really excited when I saw the weapon skill 2, the ballistic skill 2, and then I cringed when I saw the rest of the stat line. And then I read his abilities, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, this is interesting, this is interesting, but I can only use one of them. I can't combine, I can't mix and match, and if I could, that would make things absolutely devastating. If you could use 2 of the abilities off Lethal Ambush, that would make him fantastic, because it would give him a lot of a lot of burst damage right away, which would sort of counteract his really poor toughness and staying power. I could be wrong. And maybe this isn't even correct. It's entirely possible that this is wrong. I mean, earlier this week, I also received a picture from a friend that said that Layman Russ was becoming an evil Demon Primarch, which we found out was a hoax. We had a good chuckle over it. One of my friends is a Space Wolf player, and his response to it immediately was, well, I guess I've got to convert everything to Khorne Demons now. So, yeah. So Sly Marbo, the stat line looks underwhelming. The rule set looks like it'd be cool if I could synergize it with more things, but I just don't see Sly Marbo being useful. If he's cheap, if Sly Marbo is 30 points, probably could be useful. But I don't anticipate Games Workshop making him that cheap. If he is, fantastic. I'm including him in a couple of fights just to see how he handles. But frankly, with the power level that they're currently advertising, I'm going to assume he's going to be in the 50 to 60 point range. And at that point, that's kind of too expensive for what he's going to do. Anyway, what do you think? Am I completely wrong in this? How am I wrong? Because I'm sure someone out there is like, oh my god, this guy's such an idiot. Does he not understand at all? And if I am, hey, let me know so we can have a nice little discussion about it. Anyway, I've been Tirak. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to receive a notification every time I release one of these videos, and we may do more Warhammer stuff in the future. I know I talked about it in the chapter approved video, but hey, we may do it in the future. I may start doing battle reports from what I do at my at the Warhammer Club that I play at. We'll see. Anyway, I will see you all in the next episode.